Hi, I'm Joel Bloom, president of New Jersey Institute of Technology. At NJIT, we believe that not only our students, but all citizens need to be informed about the issues facing higher education. As New Jersey's Science and Technology University, NJIT is proud to support the important programming produced by the Caucus Educational Corporation and their partners in public television.
Funding for this edition of One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been provided by New Jersey Natural Gas, proud to support education in our communities. Meridian Health, New Jersey Manufacturers Insurance Group, auto insurance, homeowners insurance, and banking under the principle of stewardship. The law firm of Gibbons PC. Cohn Resnick, providing accounting, tax, and advisory services for more than 90 years. And by TD Bank. Promotional support provided by The Star Ledger and NJ.com, Everything Jersey.
This is One-on-One.
When you first heard that they were doing Charlie Rose and Gayle King, didn't you go, what?
People like laughing at others, so I don't mind if the other is me.
See, you go right into the character. That's what it is.
I'm bringing families together a half an hour each week. Man, I'm doing something special.
And so I do feel successful.
Welcome to One-on-One. We're coming to you from the Jersey Shore. We call it Coming Together at the Jersey Shore. We are honored to be here in Point Pleasant, welcomed by the first citizen of Point Pleasant, the mayor of Point Pleasant. You are the first citizen.
Well, you know, we'll stick with mayor.
The mayor, Vincent Borrell. It's good to have you, Mayor.
Thank you.
And by the way, thank you more importantly for having us. Yes. And we're at Jenkinson's, right?
This is outside Jenkinson's, yeah.
And we want to thank the folks at Jenkinson's for being so hospitable to have us here. You have a great community. You really do. Post-Sandy, just as great.
Well, that's good, because the people here are great people. They come together when we have, you know, situations like we had with Sandy. And, you know, you look around town and you wouldn't really know, except for some of the construction, minor construction, what happened here. I mean, 1,800 homes were flooded. The place has been cleaned up. That's because I've got great employees. I got great people working for me, and you know, during the storm, they were out there while the rest of us were trying to stay safe. They were out there in harm's way, and they were out there picking up the garbage and doing what needed to be done. Problem is that when you look at the town, and it looks great, you don't realize how many people are still out of their homes.
How many?
Or how many are displaced in place. The one that really troubles me is the displaced in place.
What does that mean, displaced in place?
They're living on their second floor with a hot plate and a dorm refrigerator because the first floor is gutted and the insurance companies haven't come through with the money. The state grant programs are just getting underway. You know, I mean, it's great that the governor and the president were down here, and I appreciate the publicity, and it's an honor certainly that they came here and chose Point Pleasant Beach. But, you know, the shore is back, the business communities are back. People are not back.
Why do you think that is? Why do you think, listen, I mean, we're here, we're at Seaside Heights, Ortley Beach, we're here, we'll be as many places as possible. I mean, we can't be every place.
Right.
Why do you think it is so difficult to tell the stories of those individual people and how much they're suffering? Because
they're individual stories. And there are a lot of proud people who don't want people to know how much they're suffering. You know, and you know, we got this boardwalk together and we did it really quick.
Describe that.
And it was damaged about 75%, and decisions had to be made as to how to go about doing it, whether to start at the wings, the center, or whatever. And Jenkinson stepped up and
these guys,
you know,
Jenkinson,
yeah,
which
they
is the
stepped
heart
up
of
in
this
part because
boardwalk.
it was important to them. I mean, it's their business; they got to get it going, and they recognize that. And we worked something out, and you know, they're going to help support the town with a financial contribution, and you know, we got the boardwalk all built back up. Center part, no, because that wasn't damaged. But that's the easy part. See, getting the businesses up and running, getting you know, the shops here all together, that's the easy part. The hard part is those individual 1,800 homes that were flooded, and those who were not knowing whether they have to raise or not raise, or having to raise but not being substantially damaged,
they should raise their home,
and not having the money. I mean, I've heard stories. I've got one family. They've got 6 children, a couple in college still, and they're not eligible for a lot of these grants because they make too much money. But when you really look right at it, He doesn't have the money to do what he needs to do to raise the house.
Even if you wanted to do it,
Yeah,
Mayor.
even if you want to do it, you don't have the money. And so when people start talking about the shore being back and the like, I mean, look at these beaches. They're beautiful.
Look at all these kids. These kids are on the beach.
But
It's a
they're
great
flat.
day. Even though it's not a great day, people on the beach,
Right.
I'm sitting there going, hey, this is great. You say?
But they're flat.
What does that mean,
Okay.
it's flat? So what does that, what
They're
does that
flat.
mean?
I mean, you hear the governor talk about dunes, all right? And so far, all I've heard him do is talk about it. He blusters, but he hasn't done anything yet.
But the governor, listen, I'm not here to defend the governor, but the governor can't create those dunes by himself. There are a lot of people resisting those dunes.
I get it, but that's where you use the power of the governancy. I cannot, as a mayor of a 5,000 person town, afford to get involved with the type of litigation that we'd be involved in. The state has to.
Mayor, should people be forced? If someone says, hey, you know what? I don't want the dunes there because it blocks my view. I don't want the dunes there because when I bought this home, the dunes weren't there and it's going to mess with my property value. What should happen?
You know what? You've got a whole bunch of people who are living further beyond that. And while I respect people's individual property rights, I've got to look to those property rights of the 1,800 homes that were flooded in Point Pleasant Beach, in part because we didn't have adequate protection. You know, so it's a balancing. Like, for example, this is an entirely different situation here. All right, this is not a view. For Jenkinsons, for Martells, for Risdens, for people who are renting, you know, who's selling beach badges because they own the beach. This is their business. If you take away 30% of their beach because you're putting dunes on it, you're taking away 30% of their capacity. The state needs to compensate them for that lost capacity. We, as Point Pleasant Beach, can't afford to do it.
And that money's coming from?
The money is coming from, hey, look, FEMA just came up with 90%. I mean, we rebuilt this boardwalk without any state help at all.
A lot of private.
Well, it was Jenkinson's in the municipality and a reimbursement from FEMA.
I just want to say thank you for having us here.
Yeah, and thank you for coming. And what I want to say to your viewers is Point Pleasant Beach is open for business. Come down here. The best way you can help us is to come down to the beach and visit us, stay at our motels, spend your money here, enjoy yourself, have a good time, behave yourself, and come back as often as you can.
Thank you, Mayor. Appreciate it.
Take
Stay
care.
right there. One-on-one coming to you from Point Pleasant Beach. Shore's coming back, but it's a long road. Be right back right after this.
If you would like more information on this program, or if you'd like to express an opinion, email us at info@caucusnj.org. Visit us online at oneonone.org. Or find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Steve Adubato, PhD.
Welcome back to One-on-One. We are coming to you from Point Pleasant Beach. I want to introduce two very special guests of ours. Christine Gizzi-Jamo from Jersey Shore Gives Back. She's the founder and executive director, and also Colleen Markey, executive director of social services. Now, let me get this straight. JerseyShoreGivesBack.org. We'll have this up throughout the program. It's an organization that you guys formed.
Correct.
You form it without even knowing each other?
Yes.
How does this work? After Sandy, you're doing what, and then what happens?
After Sandy, I started Jersey Shore Gives Back on an iPhone with a computer a couple of towns away. And Colleen was doing her thing, actually the town next to us, but we didn't know it.
Which towns?
I'm in Red Bank.
You're in Red Bank, you're in?
Locust.
Okay.
Right outside of Seabright.
So while she was doing her thing, after I got my power back after 6 days, I got on to let the world know I was alive. And on Facebook, and I just kept seeing all these posts, people begging for help. I was seeing posts of people sharing information, and then 10 minutes later, the same person, and I said, this isn't gonna work. So I started to create a Google Doc with categories of all the resources.
Right.
And then I found Christine's page and put that on as a resource, and then you can take it from there.
Right. And I had a Facebook page because I knew Facebook was the only way we were communicating, and nobody had a website built. So I was updating resource information as I found it, because I realized, having lived with PTSD pretty much my whole life, I knew that they needed information. Post-traumatic stress disorder. I knew that the most important thing to empower someone is to give them information. and
Accurate information.
accurate, correct. And that was really important to us, and it continues to be important to us. So that's what we did.
Describe to folks what the organization is, because the website is up, and the reason we're coming to the Jersey Shore isn't just to celebrate the Jersey Shore and encourage people to come back. It's also to celebrate the people who are making a huge difference, tell you what they're doing, and encourage you to find out more so you can give back. What does the organization do?
It's evolved over time from calling out for propane for Seabright and cases of water, and we got everything we needed. It was amazing, the response from all over the country. Truckloads of goods and not information, but truckloads of clothing and water and everything, diapers, anything you could possibly imagine were being diverted to Seabright.
Where were you storing this stuff?
That was a big problem. That was a huge problem because we had to divert the trucks from Seabright up and down the coast, calling church. It was chaos.
And who was running the show?
No one.
It was two one-man shows. Ours, and then we merged. We decided we were doing similar, on a similar mission to get the resources out and connect people to resources. But yeah, I mean, I know Christine as well. Early on, especially 6 o'clock in the morning till midnight, I some days didn't leave my computer. Right. And then
hold on, say that again.
6 o'clock in the morning to midnight, did not leave my computer.
Yeah.
Either updating the directory, which is a live doc.
Right.
So if we post something live, it's there right away, real time. Or people started to write to me, help, help, help.
And you're communicating through social media
all
the entire
through
time.
Facebook, the Google Doc, hundreds and hundreds of emails from people saying, and we posted a lot on other Hurricane Sandy pages to, they had the information.
People asking for help.
Begging for help. Lost, overwhelmed.
To this day.
To this day. Okay, so we're doing this. It's July here in Point Pleasant. We're outside of Point Pleasant Beach. We're outside of Jenkinson's. It's a nice day. Rain is held off, which is nothing compared to Sandy, right? Where are we today? Where are we today?
I think we're all over the place. I think it depends on a lot of factors.
Yeah.
Education level is a big one.
What does that mean?
Education income level, and people have insurance, access to insurance, and the wherewithal to get the help, to know where to go for it. And that's a big deal.
So you're saying people who are better educated, have more money, they have better access to good information?
I think so.
And those who don't?
I think it also depends on how people respond to crisis. And pre-Sandy, life happens. And people who've had trauma after trauma in their life, or, someone who's always had to live in survival mode, they're still in survival mode. Yeah. And then Sandy came and just totally brought them down even further. Some people don't know how to rise above it because they don't have the internal coping. Or they're just in post-traumatic stress still. The losses of Sandy are just endless. It's not just the home, it's your community, it's your job. I mean, the losses of your kids.
A lot of mental health issues.
A lot of mental health issues, but not, I want to clarify that term because some people hear mental health and think, oh.
No, emotional stress.
Stress.
That's why there's Hope and Healing and other organizations out there.
Normal reactions to Sandy.
Absolutely.
But the needs for some people are still so great, they don't have the inner energy, resources to know how to go through the system.
Yes, and I want to take back what I said because it's not, Sandy leveled the playing field for everybody. It didn't matter if you had a gold watch on in a $4 million house or, you were a renter in a small apartment. You have nothing. When you have nothing, you have nothing. It doesn't matter.
But I just want to say thank you. Can we plug your website one more time?
Oh, sure.
It is jerseyshoregivesback.org. And Colleen, Christine, I know that we've only scratched the surface of the work that your organization does, but I want to thank you for joining us.
It's not about us, though.
Well, no, but it's about your organization and getting help to people. So thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Stay
Thank you.
right here. One-on-one from down at the Jersey Shore will continue right after this. Stay with us.
If you would like more information on this program, or if you'd like to express an opinion, email us at info@caucusnj.org. Visit us online at oneonone.org. Or find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Steve Adubato, PhD.
Shannon Revelis is president and founder of We Are Team Jersey. How you doing?
I'm great. How are you? Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being with us. We Are Team Jersey is?
It's a nonprofit 501c3. We're a group of people that all come together, various different people from everywhere. It's never really the same people other than me and my board members. And volunteers come in from everywhere. We've had them from England, Japan, Colorado, Florida, and just people come together and help rebuild New Jersey. I went out like 3 days after the hurricane and to help one family on Jersey Avenue.
Where do you live?
I live in Jackson, which is like in the center of New Jersey.
Yeah, it's not at the shore.
No, I don't even like the beach.
Yeah, hold on. We're here in Point Pleasant. You're like, I don't like the beach.
I don't like the sand or the water or anything.
But you came here to help.
I did.
Then what happens?
And I went to one house and I was inside and I was emptying buckets of water and I found like a little lobster and I took Nemo back to the ocean and he got to go back. But anyway, that's what happened.
Where's the organization start?
It starts that day. So I came home that day and I went on Facebook because the phones weren't really working out here. So I went on Facebook and I started asking friends to come back out because the house that we started, we weren't finished cleaning up. So the next day I had 10 friends turn up and every day it just went on Facebook and more people and it just grew.
Well, what were you asking them to do?
I was asking them to come out and just give a helping hand. There really wasn't any specific directions other than to just come and help.
Did they have to have any certain skill? Hey, you need to be a carpenter, you need to be a mason. I mean, what did they have to have?
They just had to have a heart.
That's it.
Heart and hands.
But here's the thing I'm curious about, Shannon, as I was reading about you.
Yeah.
I'm thinking to myself, when someone does something like this, they have to come from a certain kind of background. They have to be a certain kind of person that causes them to leave Jackson, come here, and really change your life.
Yeah.
What's your story? Where do you come from and how do you get to be a person like this?
I think I was brought up by a really good family that very honest and loving, and I don't know, I can't see people in distress. It's one of those things like, you know, when I came out here, like, because I didn't see anything on the news. There was no TV, there was no news. It was like my neighbor said, let's go to my friend's house and go help. We came out and I just seen the looks on people's faces and all the work that they had to do. It was just disaster after another disaster. So I couldn't stop, and I still can't stop.
As the website of your organization is up right now,
yeah.
Do you still need help?
We need a lot of help. There's so much work to be done. I would say even right now we're working on a primary residence house. It's 9 months after the storm, and
it's their first home.
That's correct.
Right.
And we're still down to the beams. And she's just so happy with this like little ray of hope that we came there and we're like, we're gonna rebuild your house and it's gonna look great in the next 3 weeks. And we do need help. We need skilled workers, we need unskilled workers, we need adults, we need teenagers too. Just anyone and everyone, but there is a lot of work to be done. Just because the boardwalk's ready, there's so much more.
It's interesting how you said it. We talked to the mayor earlier, and he said, yeah, you know, it's great where Jenkins is, people are partying, and it's a good feeling here, but it's people's homes, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of people's homes, and a lot of people that are affected are old people. We help primary residents and secondary residents. The type of secondary residents we like to help are those who have had the house in their family for like 30 or 40 years. It was their mother's house, and they had all their childhood memories there. And just to go there for a weekend and give them the helping hands to build the walls again, and just to see the smiles on their face, and now at this point they can like just go and enjoy the home again. It's really nice.
Before I let you out here, I have to ask you, what has this done for you?
It makes me feel better. I feel happy and more confident as a person. It's changed my life. I don't know.
Hurricane Sandy, Superstorm Sandy changed your life?
It did in a good way. I don't know, I feel like I found my purpose in life. And I'm not really religious, and I don't want to do this on your show, but like I go to church like 3 times a year, so I believe in God. Like this much. All right, maybe this much. But for somehow, some way, I do believe that God is working through me.
Change your life.
Yeah, definitely.
In a good way.
Absolutely.
We need more people like you. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you for being with us. Okay?
Yes.
Keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you.
Stay right there.
Okay.
One-on-one from the Jersey Shore will continue right after this. Stay with us. Thank you.
Thank you.
If you would like more information on this program, or if you'd like to express an opinion, email us at info@caucusnj.org. Visit us online at oneonone.org or find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Steve Adubato, PhD.
Kathy Durante is Executive Director of the Ocean First Foundation. Good to have you with us.
Thanks for having me.
You're one of the few corporate executives that we've had on this series. We're coming to you from Point Pleasant Beach, outside of Jenkins's. Your bank got very involved very early on. Why?
Very simple. Ocean First Bank. Point Pleasant is our home. Ocean County and Monmouth County, that's where we are. The bank was started more than 100 years ago, and we're still here today. And we knew very quickly that when the storm hit that we were going to have to play a huge part in helping the community recover. It's what we needed to do, and it's what's right to do for our customers and employees that were significantly impacted by the storm.
Actually, 16 of your employees lost their homes?
Major devastation.
I shouldn't say lost. They were displaced.
Yes, yes.
That has an impact internally as well, right?
Sure, it does. I mean, one of the great things that we did see emerge was everyone rally around them and to support them and to at least give them the beginnings of trying to put some of the pieces back together within their own homes. And that's something that I think Ocean First does very well.
Describe, it's interesting, we've talked to so many people who run nonprofits, you know, and not always the major, well-known nonprofits. And a lot of those nonprofits will come to a corporate foundation like yours and say, help us.
Sure.
How do you look at all of those Sandy-related, let's say, Sandy-related requests? Not just the existing nonprofits, the very well-known, established, long-standing nonprofits, but those who just pop up out of the need, out of the caring and compassion, but they're not well established. How do you deal with that overwhelming demand?
Right. Well, we began with the anchor institutions that within our community that we knew would have the ability to react quickly.
Such as?
Such as the Food Bank of Monmouth and Ocean County, Catholic Charities in the Diocese of Trenton, and down on Long Beach Island, St. Francis Center. We knew right away that if we put our resources in their hands, they could quickly deploy them to the families that needed help.
Explain that to folks, because some people will say, well, they don't need it because they're well established. Explain to folks why you went that way.
We went that way because they were our trusted partners, and we knew that they could act quickly and they would be able to put those resources out on the street much faster than anybody else could. And they were providing the most essential basic needs for people. Food, shelter, heat, hot water, gas, clothing to put on your back, replacing those most personal things that you need immediately and that you can't wait for. So we knew that when we worked with them that the accountability would be there and that they could get the job done and get it done well and quickly.
The other nonprofits.
How
do you deal with that? Saying no is tough, huh?
Saying no is just as hard as saying yes. And there are so many great groups that have emerged from this, but what we looked at was, again, capacity. Who could get it done? And I think one of the most interesting things that has emerged from this is the presence and rise of the faith-based community and the role that they played in all of this.
Describe what that means.
What does that mean? For example, in Point Pleasant, there's a Presbyterian church that very quickly has been able to develop volunteer hosting and housing capacity, so people that want to come from all over the United States to help could help. So one of the other roles that we played was to try to help bring those resources, and even if they weren't our own foundation resources to the table, we tried to help make the link between other nonprofits or faith-based groups and other funders that were out there. We're very fortunate to have in the state of New Jersey the Council of New Jersey Grant Makers, and one of the best things that they did was start to open doors for people. That opened the doors up, and we helped to put Robin Hood Foundation in touch with many organizations.
Explain the Robin Hood Foundation is such an important organization, and sometimes people, they know the name Robin Hood, but they don't know the foundation. Explain to folks who they are.
Incredibly important to us. I mean, they were never really on our radar as well. They're a group based out of New York City, and when Sandy happened, they were the folks behind the big concert that raised a whole lot of money to help families in need. And then
that was the concert out of Radio City, I think, the NBC-related concert?
Yes, it was the very, very big concert with all the
30
national...
Rock concert,
yes,
right, yes.
All the national personalities.
Springsteen was involved, and Bon Jovi was involved. That's the one.
Everybody came out to support
Why does everyone trust them?
because they get the job done. I mean, one of the things that I have seen them do, and I think it's to their credit, was how quickly they were able to respond. They came down here, they picked up the phone, and they said, you know, how can we help? I rallied a group of organizations that we had a history of working with and that I already saw doing the work. And in one day, they came down here at a little church in Point Pleasant. They came and they met probably 20 of the best organizations, best equipped to get things going right away. And when all was said and done, they listened to the people. They understood what the needs were, and they responded very quickly with the resources so that the work could start. And I think that is a huge credit to the Robin Hood Foundation. It's a credit to the Council of New Jersey grant makers, which helped kind of make that connection. And I think that's another role that we can fulfill, because the financial resources aren't endless, but there are other kinds of things that we within the business community and the philanthropy community can do.
By the way, I just realized that concert, guys, that was at Madison Square Garden. You realize that? Governor Christie, who was at that concert, and others who are Springsteen fans would actually acknowledge our mistakes. So that was at Madison Square Garden, so I acknowledge that. Okay. Before I let you out of here, your organization, your corporate foundation, has had this philanthropic sense and spirit for a long time. How is this devastation, this event, 9 months after Sandy, how is it different? 30 seconds.
It's different because we have a better understanding that we really need to keep our pulse on the needs of what's happening every day. Things evolve very quickly as the community recovers. Things are constantly changing. There's a sense to try to match resources, and what resources become available every day are different. Where you hear that one specific need has popped up, you'll be able to match it with another funder or another group that's doing the work. So it's incredibly important to us to just kind of keep our finger on the pulse of what's going on, and we've been able to do that through the long-term recovery groups, which is a whole other aspect of recovery, and you know, we're happy to be able to play whatever role we can.
Well, I want to thank you for all the important work that you do.
Thank you so much.
You and
Thanks
your colleagues
for coming
at Ocean First.
Thank you.
As we are down here in Point Pleasant, outside of Point Pleasant Beach, outside of Jenkins's, the sun has come out.
It has. It's great.
It's great, and it's a good sign.
It is.
Still a lot of work to be done down here at the Jersey Shore, but we're trying to tell as many important stories as possible. That's why we're down here all this week. One-on-one, coming to you from the Jersey Shore, coming back strong. We'll see you tomorrow night. Take care.
One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been a production of the Caucus Educational Corporation, celebrating 25 years of broadcast excellence. Funding for this edition of One-on-One has been provided by New Jersey Natural Gas, Meridian Health, New Jersey Manufacturers Insurance Group, the law firm of Gibbons PC, Cohn Resnick, and by TD Bank. Transportation provided by Airbrook Limousine, serving the metropolitan New York, New Jersey area. One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been produced in partnership with St. Joseph's Healthcare System.